How do you get rid of really thick grease that's on your kitchen cabinets? That's a great question. I'm Angela Brown, and this is Ask a House Cleaner. This is a show where you get to ask a house cleaning question, and I get to help you find an answer. Now, a couple of years ago, I made for you a video called How to Get Rid of the Icky, Sticky, Greasy Gunk on Your Kitchen Cabinets. And one of the things that I showed you in that video was how to use a power drill with a drill brush and then Murphy oil soap. Now, that part did not change. That's still the quickest, fastest, easiest way to do the job. But when we made that video, many people came forward and they said, "Hey, Ange, my cabinets are stickier than that." And then you wanted to know, is it okay? Can I use a degreaser on the front of the cabinets? I don't want you to use a degreaser, okay? Degreasers are very strong and they will strip the oil out of the wood. The next thing about a degreaser is the dwell time. So if you leave a degreaser on wood, it can dissolve and eat the finish. So if you spray a degreaser on and you leave it, wherever you sprayed it, wherever those splotches were, it's going to ruin the finish on your cabinet. Now, it depends on the time that you leave it on, and it depends on the strength of the degreaser and all of those things. But for the most part, my answer is please don't do that, okay? So the next thing I wanted to show you was the precursor to this project here. This part did not change, and this is step number 4 of a 3-step process. So step number 4 did not change. I will leave links in the video to this so you can watch that next. Step number 1 for the pre-treating is our personal protective equipment. So I've got some latex or nitrile gloves. You can also use a Playtex dipped in nitrile. It doesn't really matter. As long as your hands are protected, then you're good to go. For this project, I want us to use eye protection, just because I don't want anything splattering in our eyes, and I don't want anything getting in our eyes that's not supposed to be there. For that same reason, I want to put on a face mask when I'm doing this as well. Not because there are any strong chemicals. The mineral oil we're going to use is odorless and colorless. So it's not harmful as far as us smelling in fumes, but it is fatal if swallowed. So I just want to protect with all precautions ourselves, okay? And then also I will mention, because it is fatal, when you're done using it, this goes in a locked cabinet, out of sight, out of mind, not for anyone else to see or get into, okay? Now that we've covered that, step number 1 is our personal protective equipment. Step number 2 is treating the knobs. Now, if you have a greasy knob to a cabinet and you open it up, anything that your finger touches, including closing the cabinet door, which eventually we will, anything you touch is going to get sticky then with that thick grease. So what we want to do is we want to unscrew the knobs and we want to put them inside a bowl with a little bit of hot water and a couple of drops of dish soap. Doesn't matter what kind of dish soap. This is just dish water. Now, soaking them for about 10 minutes is going to be awesome. This works for glass, ceramic, porcelain, bronze, brass. Doesn't matter what kind of knobs you have. It's okay inside dish water, inside a bowl. I have OXO deep cleaning brushes. And so when we're done, after about 10 minutes, we're going to scrub them up and they'll look just brand new. That is step number 2. Step number 3 is where we pre-treat the cabinet itself from that extra grease that's on your cabinets that's not going to come off with step 4. So to pre-treat them, I'm going to take our mineral oil, and this is used for cutting boards. So if you have a cutting board that's drying out and the wood is not nourished, this is how you nourish it, is with this food grade mineral oil. 100% food grade. This is Howard brand. Okay, so I'm going to take a small bowl. I'm going to pour a little bit in here. You don't need a lot, but then I have a small sponge on a stick. This looks like a little paintbrush. I'm going to dip it inside my mineral oil, and I'm going to paint the areas of the cabinet that are super thick with grease. Now, it sounds counterintuitive that I would put oil on a greasy cabinet, but the interesting thing is the oil will break down the grease. So once I leave that on there for about 10 minutes, I'm going to be able to take a regular cellulose sponge. This doesn't have any scrubby on it whatsoever. It's just a sponge. I'm going to come back and I'm going to wipe out all the gunk and all the oil, and it's going to saturate my little sponge. When I'm done here, I will throw this away. But I find that if I use a paper towel, it gets all sticky and pieces of the paper towel stick to the cabinet. I find that if I use a cloth of some other sort, it gets really nasty and it's hard for me to throw it in the washing machine when I'm done. So just a sponge that I can dispose of when I'm done is probably the easiest solution. So I'm going to wipe my cabinets and clean it up. I'm going to use the sponge. It's super absorbent. I can probably clean all 7 of the 79 cabinets that we're pre-treating today with just a couple of sponges. All right. When I'm done with those 3 steps, then I'm going to move over to step number 4, which is the next video, and I'm going to go through the speed cleaning way of just spraying them down with Murphy oil soap and then using my drill bit brush on a power drill so that I can clean them. Now, when I'm done, there will be no residue, and so I can take just a regular terry cloth and I can dry the cabinets from any of the spray that I put on. That will remove any oil, any spray, any of that stuff. There's no water on today's project, but that will clean the grease off my kitchen cupboards, and it's going to make them look brand spanking new, and it's going to be super and shiny. Okay, so that is how you do it. It is these 4 easy steps. If you have questions or comments, those go in the notes below. And until we meet again, leave the world a cleaner place than when you found it.